Hey guys, it's me Tatum. This is probably going to be the most informal video you're going to see because this is me just holding the phone talking. I'm actually at the barn today and it's pouring rain outside. And I said, you know what? I'm going to just do an interview right here. Y'all know this is my favorite place to be and it just makes sense. I've got so many emails. So some of you is going to see some of the interviews are in the Just Ask Tatum studios. Some are actually on our couch in the living room. My mom's and husband's, you'll see will be on the couch because that way my mom don't have to go up to the studio. We've got so many questions, and one of them that I got a lot was, Tatum, how did y'all handle having to endure so much bullying and, things that happened after Joseph got hurt? Guys, our house was egged. The day that I buried my dad, I got a text, and it is actually on here somewhere, and I'll have to repost it so y'all can see it. Basically called Joseph retarded, said that they were going to piss and shit on my dad's grave and take a shot and watch me clean it up. That was the day I was burying my dad. This is what kind of people they are now, this whole group. They said I thought my son was a badass, but look what happened to him. First of all, it doesn't matter how bad you are. If you're Mike Tyson, it doesn't matter. If somebody hits you from the back, they hit you from the back, And I'm going to tell y'all something. I sat down one night, and my husband walked in, and he seen me just staring. He's like, baby, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, he knew something was wrong. And I was just sitting there thinking, what kind of people, what kind of monsters say stuff like this? I mean, I'd never, you see people like Ted Bundy and Dahmer and serial killers, but you never think that people around you or even that you would be in the vicinity with would be like this. For instance, the other day when, we went to the Lone Star concert, and my cousins was there, and they had their wives, and they're like 22, 23. They're a little bit older than Joseph, like a year older. And I was listening to the band, and I was just sitting there, and my husband said, baby, what's wrong with you? I said, nothing, baby. It's just hot. And I'm sitting there. He knew something was bothering me, but he knew I didn't want to talk about it at that moment. So I waited. And we got home, and I was sitting there. And I said, I know you know something was wrong with me. And he said, yeah, baby. He said, what was it? And I said, I was just sitting there looking at my cousin and looking at them boys that he grew up with. And I said, I could see Joseph. It's like I could see him. You know what I'm saying? Like, what he would be. Like, what would he would be now? If none of that would ever happen. And, he would have had his girlfriend. And, he was such a handsome young man, And I was sitting there and I was thinking about it, and I was like, okay. I was like, why would anybody want to do this to him, And that's why I tell people, don't ever say, guys, that this could not happen to you. Because I never thought in a million years that I would even had a kid, and I adopted a kid. He was my only kid. And I loved him. And, me and my parents raised him up until Michael come along. And then this happened. Jealousy, hatred. And if y'all know that a lot of girls cause a lot of problems. We've had deaths around here and it was caused by a girl. And I actually have a cousin right now serving a prison sentence, and it was over a woman. And my thing is, my son didn't no more care about this girl than the man in the moon. She wasn't good but for one thing, and that's what's so sad about it. And I want to talk more about her, and I'm going to talk about what she's doing now, and what I think about it, and but what I'm saying is, that's something I've even endured after now that he's gone, because I see stuff like that, and y'all, I'm strong. But stuff like that hurts, because you think in your mind, why? I don't question God, but I question myself, because I'm just like, that Kenny Chesney song, What Would You Be? Like, that song was played at his funeral. because when I heard that song, and what's so crazy, guys, we were looking for songs. We had to go to Valdosta that day to get some. I wanted to get an outfit and stuff for the funeral and the funeral home, and I had not heard that song in years, and we were trying to come up with the songs to play. And Kenny Chesney come on and that song, and it just hit me so hard because I was like, what would he be? You know, what would my son be now? I see his friends from high school, you know, playing in college, going to their senior year, and looking to go to the NFL. All that's gone. You know, I mean, it's all gone. And you know, it hurts, guys. I just hurt in private. But sometimes my husband, he can look at my face and he knows, you know. But I've had a lot of people, not just the egg in the house, they went on social media and they tried to turn what happened to my son. Y'all want me to tell y'all how I knew? A lot of people ask me, how did I know that he did not fall from the barn? I've lived on a farm my whole life. But when you get there to where you're going and you see your son laying there on an old dirty mattress, and he's been laying there for, at the time, we didn't know exactly how long. We know now 14 hours. If there's a video on here. If you want to go on Joseph Strong and go back to videos and go down, you'll see me out there talking and showing you guys the barn. If he would have fell from that 2-story barn, he would have had a broke neck. He'd have broke bone. He'd had something. He had no marks on him, guys, but that mark on the head. And his knuckles, he had signs of where he'd been in a fight. And when they said he fell from the barn, here's my thing too. A lot of people ask me, how did I know about who was involved? Let me ask you guys a question. And now I want y'all to put this together. If one of your supposedly best friends now, usually they know your mom. He hung out with these people around his biological dad. These were kids that I wouldn't allow him to hang with, you know. But that's beside the point. But if something happens to one of my best friends, are you going to leave them laying there and haul tail? No, you're not going to do that. Number 2, why wouldn't you come to the hospital? Why wouldn't you call? Why wouldn't you find out something? Why wouldn't you pray? Why would you not even want people knowing you were there? Does that make sense to you? Okay. I knew something, the way they were acting. They hit his phone. They did all this kind of stuff. And now I'm just kind of talking here. I'm going to go into all depths on these other interviews. But that's my thing. Okay. Why would you change his clothes? He urinated on himself. Okay. And then my big thing is that people ask me, this person that I'm going to talk about in one of the big interviews, how did I know for a fact he was there? Because one of Joseph's friends that hung out with him all the time made a phone call from the hospital at Shands. And he said on there, man, I don't know what happened, man. They didn't call 911. And I heard his boot hit the ground. And I was like, man, he said, and we tried to do CPR and see if he was breathing and stuff. Now listen to this now. There's a tape of this because I recorded it. And first of all, my son wasn't wearing boots that day. He was wearing Sperry's. Okay, we got them back. That right there told me something wasn't right. Okay, why wouldn't you call 911 and split if you was scared? Because he's like, man, I had weed on me. Okay, whatever. Why didn't you call 911 though? Why would you haul tail? Never reached out. Never called the hospital. Because they let me know anytime somebody called or checked on him or whatever. Because I told him, I said, I'd like to know. You know what I mean? They never, because he had a coat on his room and stuff. You didn't see posts about it. I mean, nothing. Okay? But do you want me to tell you how I also found out who was all there? Because I was getting texts and getting messages from one of our pages in Ware County that some of these people like to use to try to tear people down, and that's going to be on another interview. Because you're going to stop using me as your little scapegoat. Because if you're going to continue to dish it out, my thing is I am laid back and I try to love everybody. But if you want to keep coming at me and you want to go full force and you want to try to see who's badder. But if you want to tackle me, if you really want to, I'm not somebody that you want to go head to head with. Because, number one, I got thick skin. You're not going to hurt me. You're wasting your time. But number two, I don't like to play dirty. But somebody that just keeps on and taking a wound and just digging it. My mama told me a long time ago what her mama told her. If you out in the farm and you see a bunch of cow turds laying out there, if you leave them alone and walk by, the sun's going to dry them out. They'll fall out one day. Y'all hear Bonnie. She's agreeing with me. But if you go up there and you take a stick and you just stir and stir and stir, they going to stink. But there comes a point, it don't matter how laid back you are and how much you love people. You know, you got these people that just, like I said, they have these sites and everybody knows who runs them. And they just want to tear people down, tear people down, tear people down. And it comes to a point where I see enough of it, or they keep on with me and keep putting my son's name out there after he's not here and he can't defend himself. And you want to take the memory of my child. And you know what kills me too, guys? Half these people, their mothers or their fathers. If the roles were reversed, they'd be coming at you. Like, if the roles were reversed and my kid did this to somebody, oh, these people are trying to get every dollar they could. You know what I mean? That's just the point. But my thing is, what I was trying to say is, how I knew is because I was getting all these, like, screenshots, and these girls was on there, and they were just downing everything. And I was like, what? And, like, these are kids that I've known, like, some of them my whole life. Like, some of them even took dance from me. Like, I knew their parents and all, you know? And I never treated them any different. You know, I knew what a lot of them were, you know? But I didn't treat them any different. I was kind to them and did. And then them to sit there and say the things that they were saying. And I was like, my son is laying up here in a coma fighting for his life. So that right there, guys, is how I found out most stuff was because of them. You know, it wasn't because I was just digging this stuff. People was blowing my phone up in shans. And I just don't understand how anybody, here's my thing, I don't want pity. Because there's people that go through stuff every day. Okay? But here's my thing. If something like that is happening to you and your family, somebody to come up and just kick you while you're down and kick you just as hard as they can, that is the biggest piece of shit, excuse me, guys, but that I have ever seen. But with these interviews, I'm not leaving nothing out. That's why I'm giving you these couple beforehand for y'all see the long ones and see everything, because I'm not leaving everything out. I am just so tired. You know, here's my thing. People have to literally send me what these people write on their pages. They have to do. I don't even look at their pages. I have no fake accounts. I do not care what they do. I don't think about these people. I honest to God don't. You know, sometimes when I think about Joseph and I get upset about what happened to him, they might come across my mind. But I don't give them time. But the amount of fake accounts and the amount of, they just keep on and on. If I do something, or if I'm even doing an event, something positive or something, they've got to daggum share, and they know when I go get Botox. They know when I go get professional photos took. They know when I do a song. They know everything. And I'm like, why are you so worried about it? Leave it alone. Because let me tell you something. I try to be happy every day, and I'm going to continue because that's what my son would want. I can't just go lay down and die. I could have laid down and give up on life, but I'm not going to do that because that's not who I am. Because God had left me here. He left Joseph alive for 5.5 years to do what he needed to do, to be an inspiration to people. And now it's my turn to keep that going, and that's what I'm going to do. So they can try all they want, but my thing is, they're tearing me down. They can continue to do it for the rest of their life. But now it's time. If they really want to go, some of these people go head to head. I'm not the only one. My thing is, I don't have no skeletons in my closet because I'm an open book. But you're not going to lie, especially about my mama, my daddy, anybody in my family, or my son. You're not going to lie to try to put some skeletons. Here's my thing. If you want to bring up some skeletons, like the Walmart situation, that's going to be talked about. Even when I worked in Nahunta, that's going to be talked about. But here's my thing, and the truth's going to be known. But what I want to say is, I'm not going to keep allowing somebody to make up skeletons. My haunted house is right there, and we can walk through it, and I'll show you every skeleton that's hanging up in there. But to go and try to buy some and put them in there and make false skeletons, that's not going to happen no more, because I've had enough about that. But if people choose to believe them, they can. I don't care. But I'll tell my truth, and that's how it is. So I just want to come on here and say I'm reading all your questions, and or we've already read them, and we have answered every single one of them. So, I love you guys. And the 4th is coming up. Have a great 4th. But guys, be safe. And remember, if you drink, do not drive. And just be good to people, you know. Oh, and also be careful with fireworks. I know a lot of people has been sincerely hurt by fireworks. And Joseph loved the 4th. So... Michael, they'd always go buy fireworks and do whatever, and fireworks make me so nervous. But I gotta say, my husband's always been very cautious, you know, and Joseph has too. You know, he's always been taught, you know, but these interviews have really helped me, and they've given me a piece of clarity and a peace of mind, and to know that I've told everything. So, you know, they're gonna keep uploading on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so through the whole month, and you'll get to see every single one of them. So I love you guys. God bless, and have a great holiday, guys. And if you're at the beach, put on sunscreen, and also remember, if you go to an amusement park anywhere like that, take a poncho. I promise you. Bye, guys.